I think the Cardinals are in pretty good shape, all things considered, especially because they're still in the NL Central. But I like their offense anyway, and I think the outfield, which even with all the turmoil last year, actually did pretty well overall if you compare them to other outfielders. And I feel much better about Tyler O'Neill now than I did at the end of the season. For the first time, he's really into having actual flexibility as a baseball player, which will help him from tearing something every time he moves. And Dylan Carlson, the poor guy, look, man, sometimes I'm skeptical about injuries. I don't want to make an excuse. That guy had three terrific months, and then came the thumb and the wrist injuries, and then he just went over the cliffs, right? I think it was a legitimate excuse. I mean, I look at those two guys. I look at Nootbaar, who's going to be a terror. I think, obviously the Jordan Walker watch. How do you feel about the offense? We're going to offer a little sneak preview here of Seeing Red, little teaser to it on Monday.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the outfield. I'd say it's very weird. It's very weird to me how quickly people have wanted to throw Dylan Carlson out. It's very strange. This is a switch hitter who's been one of the top prospects forever. We've seen him at his best. Arenado has talked about how incredible Carlson is and how talented he is. Listen, and I think it's weird. Like, I love Nootbaar. I'm very excited about Nootbaar. I think there's reason to be very thrilled about him across the board. But it's strange. Basically, Nootbaar had two really great months, so we decided he is fantastic, and they happen to coincide with Carlson's 2 or 2.5 months where he was injured and struggled, and said, now we got to get rid of him. There's no reason to get rid of either one of those guys. There's no reason to do that. I think that particularly because one of the things that made them feel comfortable trading Bader was that Carlson played a terrific center field. It's almost we've forgotten how good he was. He wasn't as good as Bader, but he was good in center field. And I think I think he's shown more propensity in center field than Nootbaar and less likely to get hurt out there than O'Neill. So to me, Carlson is the key to all of it, because I think that we've been excited about him for so long, except for those last 2 months of last year when he was hurt. So I think there's a reason to be excited. And to me, it's really just pitching. Pitching is the thing I'm worried about. I think it's across the board to worry about. I'm glad they didn't go out and overpay for one of these free agent guys. But, boy, you're putting a lot on 5 guys. You're putting a lot on. The presumption, okay, this is the year that Flaherty's going to be the ace. It feels like we're having another one of those years where it's no, Flaherty, he's going to get there. He's going to get there. We've seen him be there before. But it has been a while now, so I think there's reason to be concerned about that as well. But offense-wise, I'm less concerned about the offense.
Flaherty should be motivated to maximum levels for obvious reasons. He's got to reclaim his career, and he's going to be a free agent after 2023. And, I'm assuming he'd like to play for the Dodgers, but maybe I shouldn't assume that. But he's got a lot on the line this season, so it'll be interesting. I'm assuming, and I'm sure you're assuming, that the Cardinals, if they're going to make a move for a top of the rotation type starter, maybe they're going to wait, and maybe that's going to come in during the season, close to the deadline. I don't know how to handicap the timing of it, but they've got to be sitting on something, because there's just no way. There's no way after all the lessons that they've been, schooled on in postseason baseball. It's not just the offense. The Cardinals can't match up against these other teams in terms of the frontline starters. They just can't. And I don't really want to see the Cardinals collect any more, number 3 starter types, right? They got to go big. I'm hoping it happens. I just don't know when and how.
And listen, I don't think that person was there. They were not going to give what the Mets gave for Verlander. I was kind of dreaming on Verlander a little bit, right? You can imagine him and Wainwright getting along great in Wainwright's last year. And it's a short-term contract, so it wouldn't be hurt for long-term. But then when the Mets are throwing around money like that, then you're like, never mind. We can't really do that. So, but after Verlander and I think the DeGrom thing was, the Rangers are going to regret that deal probably pretty quickly. I'm glad the Cardinals didn't do those deals, and I'm glad they didn't throw bad money after a number 4 starter. But the problem still does remain. It's still clearly there. And so I think you're right. I think you wait for a team. Listen, if you told me going into last year, hey, who's going to be the best Cardinal starter the second 2 months of the year? Jose Quintana. I'd be like, wait, is he still in the league? Is he still in the league? Right. Jose Quintana. So I think that these people tend to emerge a lot, right? With the idea that Jordan Montgomery had 2 good months, and now it kind of feels like I think most Cardinal fans think he should be a Cardinal forever at this point. So guys just kind of emerge. But the trick is not falling so far behind while you're waiting for them to emerge that you can't catch up. And I think that's what we saw a couple of years ago, where they were just too far behind. The pitching fell apart. That they had to make this incredible run just to sneak in the playoffs. I think the key is I understand the strategy, but it's failed before when you just try to hang on with what you've got. You end up falling too far behind that you have to hit the lotto with John Lester to even be able to hang in.
One more for you, Will Leitch, and thanks for doing this because I know you must have some jet lag. You must be a little tired. You're drinking bourbon late last night. You're recording a podcast. You're getting up early to fly back to Georgia. So thanks for giving your old pal a few minutes here. I really appreciate it. But I did want to ask you this just before we get out of here. How crazy has this Carlos Correa saga been?
Yeah, it is funny. I mean, Carlos Correa was a guy that got booed by a lot of fan bases before. and now, like, if you're like, and I don't think it's fair that Giants and Mets fans will boo him every time they see him. And for the record, you don't have to play those teams every year because of the new schedule. But of course, the Yankees already hit him, the Dodgers already hit him. It really is a wild thing. I got to say, you know who comes out, the one people that come out looking great in this? Boy, the Giants have to feel vindicated, right? Like, the Giants have to feel vindicated. And I think another person, because, I mean, they were heavily mocked for pointing out this thing and kind of trying to back out of the deal. And then the Mets come in brazen, stupid Giants, we'll take over. And nope. Turned out that physical cost him $150 million. And I have to say, it may work out great kind of for everybody other than Correa. Who's really going to benefit from this? Manny Machado. Manny Machado is a free agent. He can opt out this offseason. And all that money that was going to go to Correa from the Mets and Giants, and how much they all got drilled for not being able to land the guy, that's all going to go to Machado. Machado, I think, is going to be – Machado, I guess Ohtani will be really all the offseason stories next year, because we now have physically seen two teams willing to pay $350 million over 12 years. So they're going to give that money to somebody. And I think Machado and Ohtani are going to be the guys. And it's a shame. $150 million that's just a really expensive physical. And that's how much that physical cost Correa. But, like, obviously it's not nothing for two teams that desperately wanted Correa to back out of the deal. It's a pretty good sign that some in there is pretty scary.
I like Will Leitch, by the way. Closing comment. I really like, follow him on Instagram because he's got, great photos of his two boys, also his dad, Brian Leitch, or if he's at a sporting event, whatever, you can always count on Will coming through. But so he's covering the championship game, and he's out in Southern California. And there's one photo, if I remember correctly, it was kind of almost like a desert setting, and it freaked me out a little bit because it reminded me of one of those spots where Ray Donovan and his enforcer Avi, would go to dig graves and bury bodies. So I'm like, man, Will, be careful out there. I know it's only a TV show, but I'm worried about you.
I'm a Renaissance man. I am also an enforcer. Why would you think? Listen. When you hear the knock at the door, Bernie, I am the danger. It is me. I am the danger. So don't worry. I'm the Ray Donovan in this situation. You meet me in the desert, you're in trouble, not me.
I know, man. That desert creeps me out. Hey, listen, thanks, my brother. We'll talk. We'll record our Seeing Red podcast Monday, 10 a.m. our time. Then we'll turn it over to Jim Hewer, and he'll work the magic to get it online. And in addition to 590thefan.com, you can find it too wherever you get your podcast. So, but you need to start following it if you haven't. We may even do more of them. This coming season.
Once we get in the season, we'll be back. We'll be back on schedule. We're just the Cardinals didn't do anything, so now we have to start. Now we got to start talking about the lack of doing things.
Try to get some rest. I know you won't because you never sleep, but try to get some rest anyway. Take care, brother.
Except for the parade Saturday. Thanks, Bernie.
There you go. That's our friend Will Leitch. Love talking to him very much, and really, I get fired up about doing Seeing Red for y'all. I do. We both do. And so we're going to have another off-season version, as I keep repeating, on Monday.